What's up, it's Guru Jojo, and this particular video is going to be about what's people's problem with the New Age movement, with these pseudosciences, or just occult metaphysical topics and all that stuff. Astrology, tarot, shamanism, all that stuff kind of comes in. It doesn't it's included in this topic that I'm speaking on. Like, what's people's real issue with it? That's what I'm going to be discussing in this video in particular. So, I came up with 3 main issues with this. So, the first issue being more so a cover up for what's really going on. So, the first main issue is that people feel as though these occult topics and these spiritual topics, these metaphysical topics are in the realm of things that we can't actually prove or that we can't see. That's most people's argument. They feel that it's bogus, it's bullshit, there's no evidence towards any of this type of knowledge or information or profession. So that in itself to me is bullshit, or excuse my language, but because there's a lot of things that we don't see all the time that we tend to believe in or feel strongly about. And the most important thing is that a lot of what exists and that has structure and stability today, in which the things we can see and the things that are tangible, was in the realm of nothing. There was nothing there but an imagination, a dream, a pursuit that had not came into reality yet. So why do we feel that a valid argument to go against the studies of the subconscious and the studies of things that are more deep and behind the scenes is less important just because you can't see it? These same people who utilize this argument are the same people who go to flipping church and they believe in Christ our Lord, God and Jesus, who you can't see, and are the first people to criticize things like spiritual studies and metaphysics and other topics of interest that we can't see. And that's just very hypocritical. But people do it every day. But that's the first main argument that people usually have. Now, this type of argument is more so just something that's repeated. One person said it and another person said, hey, that sounds good enough, so I'm going to utilize that argument too when anybody wants to speak about it. And they allow themselves to believe that bull crap. Now, the main reason why people don't really favor these subjects, or some people have problems with it. A lot of people do favor these subjects. They agree with it. They're connected to it. And it's people that are actually into your traditional sciences too, that actually understand this. They've opened their mind to it. But the main issue why a lot of people don't agree with it is because it conflicts with a number of professions. And especially your big professions. I don't know how to say it right now, but your competitive professions, your professions that are in that higher end, I guess you would call them white collar professions perhaps. By this I mean it conflicts with doctors, it conflicts with lawyers, it conflicts with business, like traditional business. It conflicts with a number of different professions, to be completely honest. And I feel that's the main reason why people have a problem with it. Because these spiritual topics and these spiritual professions, or these new age professions, these professions that go against the grain of the traditional way of doing things, they are competitive or becoming competitive with your traditional professions, in which these people have went to school for a number of years in order to do what they do. It's not very comfortable to know that someone who may have not went to school, or someone who went to school for a way less amount of time, has now came in and kind of infiltrated what they're doing. That's the main reason why people actually have a problem with these new age topics. That's with these new age professions. It's because, again, it's a disruption to the traditional white collar professions. You could go to a flipping tarot reader or something like that, like a professional tarot reader, and you can now pretty much get your same questions answered that you would go and pay, a lawyer for, who may take forever to answer that question. But instead of like competing against these things, why don't these people just start to work together? Because the fact of the matter is, one is not going away, the other is not going away, and they're both needed, to be honest. With both information, with both professions, it can really resolve a lot of missing information and missing pieces to one's therapy sessions or one's consultation, whatever you want to call it, like the different things. Like, back to actually what I was saying before, okay, so a tarot reader could kind of compete with a lawyer or a investigator or something like that. So maybe the criminal justice field or something like that. Then you got your shamans, and you got your flipping spiritual therapist, or spiritual counselors, who are now competing with your psychologist and your traditional therapist. I wouldn't really even say psychiatrists, because psychiatrists really don't do therapy from what I understand. They're more so doctors, so they more so kind of see you, find out what's wrong with you, and then they'll prescribe you a medication based upon your psychiatric condition. Whereas the psychologist, a clinical psychologist, is going to actually do a specific type of therapy session with you and speak to you about the situation. And then you have your regular doctors, and now you have your people that are into spiritual topics, and your people that are more into maybe like supplements and stuff. There are specific type of doctors. I should have looked this crap up before There's specific types of doctors that don't go the traditional route at all. And I'm not talking about chiropractors, but chiropractors would also go under this topic, because these are the people who can do certain manipulate certain alignments in your back and your spinal cord that can actually help heal you too. Not only just for cracking your back. Like, I remember looking this up a while back. These chiropractors could do certain things to manipulate like your energy and stuff. But anyways, it's besides the point. Try to figure out what type of doctors there is. Not nutrition doctors. It's like, oh man, I forgot what it's called. But my point being is that these new age professions, they're competing highly with these traditional professions, whether it be doctors, lawyers, police officers, private investigators, what else? Traditional businesses and whatnot. Now you're having like your metaphysical businesses where people are now, selling crystals, gemstones, different things for altars, and new age like clothing and stuff like that. I don't know if you ever been to the store. There's this store I used to go to in the mall, but it was quite expensive, so I didn't like it. But there's now a new store in the mall over by here. It's in Freehold, New Jersey, called Earth Spirit, and it's a really, really, really nice shop. But I'm off topic, but it's all relevant. I'm just saying. Anyway, I want to look up this, so I'm actually going to pause this and come back. All right, so I did a little bit of research real fast, and the specific type of doctor that I was speaking about, which they're not considered to be medical doctors, which they emphasize like everywhere. It's another thing I cannot stand is like you look up stuff like astrology, you look up things like chakras or I don't know, anything, and it's like they have to emphasize it's pseudo, it's not real. Like, and it's like, Wikipedia, anybody could write on there. So it just be like I don't understand why people just are so negative against it, which I do understand little bits as to why, which I'm going to get into that next, but I'm also going to explain why it's actually very ignorant. But anyways, it's called a naturopathic doctor. Now, there has been a lot of issues with these type of doctors as I've researched in the past, but another issue is that people already assume that there's an issue with these pseudosciences or with these new age practices to the point that they look for any little issue, any one little issue to over exaggerate, overemphasize, just to complain about, when your regular traditional professions make big errors on a day-to-day basis, but it's like hush hush and nobody speaks about it. But since people have such a problem with these new age professions, they look for any little detail to expand and criticize, to bring down the profession. And it's bullshit. It's straight up bullshit because it's just a confirmation bias. But anyways, naturopathic doctors. These doctors, they don't do the traditional route. So they're not a medical doctor. I'm trying to look for a nicer explanation. As I said, like, these professions, you Google them and they kind of like underhandedly take away their importance, which is annoying. Naturopathic, or it says naturopathy or naturopathic medicine, is a form of alternative medicine that employs an array of pseudoscience practices branded as natural, non-invasive, or promoting self-healing. The ideology and methods of naturopathy are based on vitalism, I can't say that word, I do apologize, and folk medicine rather than evidence-based medicine. So, yeah, this is like the nicest explanation I can find thus far of it. But I mean, these people still go to school. I'm not sure for how many years, but I think it's, you have to get your 4-year regular undergraduate degree and then you can go for that form of study. Is kind of similar to the study outlined for chiropractic and stuff. So anyways, yeah, boom, that's what it is. It's naturopathic doctor, or naturopathy. If I'm saying it wrong, it's spelled Naturopathy. Anyway, so as I was saying before, another huge issue that people have with these professions is the fact that people just look for something to be wrong. And when they look for something to be wrong, you will always find something to be wrong because nothing is ever perfect. There's always something that could be better. People always make mistakes. People make mistakes in regular traditional medicine. Every flipping day, people die and people make mistakes, and doctors make mistakes, and nurses make mistakes, and physician assistants make mistakes, etc. But it is like as soon as a new age profession makes one little mistake, it'd be like the tiniest thing. Whoa, all hell breaks loose. They're not professionals, eh? It's like, y'all are looking for something to be wrong. Duh. Y'all professional and y'all don't flip and remember learning about confirmation bias and stuff. So, not trying to be funny, but maybe I am. It's like, I don't get it. So my thing is, these are the issues that get in the way of these professions even having a chance sometimes to develop, because people are out to criticize immediately. And I get it, because you went to school and you got loans to pay and shit, or whatever, you went to school for a longer period of time. There's another huge issue with things like physician assistant versus doctors and stuff, because these people, your physician assistants, your doctors, and now you're flipping nurse practitioners, I think it's called. These people are like doing the same shit as doctors these days, or more. They're not making as much, most likely, but physician assistants make a lot of flipping money, and nurse practitioners make good money too. But it's like, doctors, I feel like, are more like business people these days, if you ask me. Doctors are straight up entrepreneurs these days, but that's another topic. My point is, at the end of the day, if you look for something to be wrong, you'll always find something to be wrong. And it's time to kind of look at yourself and your own security in the decisions you made and in the professions you decided to get yourself into, and kind of realize, you know, you should have done what you've wanted to do. If you wanted to be a traditional doctor, that's what you wanted to do. So don't worry about other professions, because that's what those people want to do. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't allow other people's passions and stuff to get in the way of what you're passionate about. But don't sit there and criticize either for no reason, like for stupid reasons at least. Now, on the other hand, I do have the ability to perceive the other side. I get that a lot of flipping con artists, a lot of people who are just lazy and bullshitting, is trying now to get into these new age professions to utilize it as a way for them to make money without actually doing the work. And that's why it's great that today we have a lot of people going to school for these professions. Like I said, to be a naturopathic doctor, I believe you have to go to school. Now, you don't necessarily have to do some of the similar things, but to be like qualified as one, you'd have to go to school. Now you can get certified for tarot card readings and stuff like that. You could become a certified tarot card reader, but it's like these shits cost money too, which sucks. But anyways, you could become a certified Reiki, master and stuff. You can get certified to do Reiki. Like, there's so many new ways to become like more professional, to have actual credentials attached to whatever it is you're doing. With astrology too, like they're opening up astrology schools and all that stuff. Like, shout out to Leo Key. He got his like astrology school and everything right now. Like, trust me, it's a big deal that he's doing that, because I'm telling you, it's gonna help separate now like people just doing shit and it's like bullshit and con artistry versus people who are actually trying to be professional. And so it's very important that we try to express our profession, like our professionalism, but at the same time, like, we're only human beings. We're trying to have fun too. Just like doctors, when they leave the flipping office, I'm sure they do their own thing and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Nobody says shit about them. So, at the same time, we're trying to be professional, but we're human beings, and we're just trying to balance those two octaves of life, those two extremes of life, I should say. And I feel like these are the main things that get in the way of these new age professions and pseudosciences and all that stuff. Also, lastly, the other issue is the language barrier. People don't like things that they can't understand. And I feel like sometimes the language is like misunderstood and it's confused, and people just don't get whatever it is that, a lot of these new age topics are communicating. It gets in conflict again with a lot of other professions because it's like a lot of misunderstandings. I know a lot of times, a lot of things I say, people are like, what the hell is she talking about? Like, and it sucks, like, because the lingo sounds similar to something else, but it is two different topics, two different situations, two different circumstances. So that's another issue too, is a lot of the language is very metaphorical or uses a lot of figurative language. It's very uniquely put together, and it can be misunderstood very easily. Or it can just intervene again with a lot of other white collar professions. Like, a lot of the lingo is very similar to, stuff that people use in like law, especially like tarot. A lot of this tarot language, I'm like, the language could just sound similar to something else. So it's important now to kind of broadcast these points so people could understand, our perspective, and then we could just blend, and there's like no hard feelings, there's no issues, nobody's trying to take your job or none of that shit. We don't care. Like, I feel like I was gonna say something that might have not went too well. I'm glad I didn't say it, but would that be wrong to say? You know what, I'm gonna say it this way. I feel like a lot of the people that are into these new age professions are like the present day foreigners and stuff. Like, we're really foreigners in this society. You know how when foreigners move into the United States, everybody's scared, oh, they're gonna take the jobs. You weren't working that job anyway. So it's like, don't get me started, but that's what I feel like. We're foreigners in this society today. Like, people do not like us because a lot of times they think that we're trying to take something from them. Nobody's taking anything from you. The person you're right next to, like right there next to you, that's like your best friend, or it's your mother or your father, they're taking away more from you than I probably am, or that anybody else in the new age fields, or, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you gotta think, like, we're all here trying to work together and just do our thing. Like, it's not really something that we're trying to take over. And I feel like people just need to stop thinking that way and start thinking more collectively. Like, start thinking on a more collective society type of basis, which I think that's more in Asia and stuff. But it's like, we're all working together to try to create a better place. And like, how dare you try to bring down somebody else's dreams, goals, and imagination if it doesn't really directly interfere with yours. So anyways, that's all I really want to say for this topic. I hope it was not offensive, and I hope that everybody can be empathetic and just like learn from each other, just work together, and just, hopefully all the conflicts just resolve itself over time. But yep, that's all I want to say. Thank you for watching. Blessings, light, love, sending out.